With the insane box office of the Demon Slayer film, it is safe to say anime has changed forever. And while there is going to be some good things to come with that, largely I think it's a negative. So welcome back to Words Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idol, and yes, we have this video right here. The future of anime is likely doomed. Serious. Now again, I haven't seen this video. I've not seen it. It's Chibi Reviews video, but I can guarantee you he's going to say the same thing that I've been saying for at least 3 years, if not more now. We saw the downfall of Western entertainment in general, things like Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, the whole nine, and with Western animation being, not just animation, Western media in general being on the downswing, you were seeing a huge boost in Eastern numbers. With that comes the homogenization that we've seen in these other properties. So yeah, I'm worried about that happening. I assume Chibi's gonna say the same thing, but maybe I'm wrong. Before we get into it, hit that subscribe button. I'm a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news every day. And yeah, let's do it.
576 million versus 521 million in the box office.
Congrats, by the way. Major congrats. For all the folk that showed up, showed out. Look, Demon Slayer is insanely popular. It is one of the most popular anime of the modern era, if not the most popular anime of the modern era. To come in and crush a Marvel film, I mean, first of all, again, mad congrats. That's incredibly impressive. That being said, Marvel is, you know, modern Marvel.
You realize just how insane this is? Like, to put this in perspective, years ago, when Disney released a film, be it Marvel, Star Wars, or whatever, it was considered a cheat code. It would instantly be victorious, probably the highest grossing film in the entirety of the year, because there was so many fans, so many people that would go out of their way to watch a movie. Even if the movie, quote-unquote, wasn't good, people would still purchase and line up in theaters to go watch it. And the fact...
Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Because he's right, even if the movie wasn't good. Remember, there were some stinkers in the MCU. Frankly, I don't particularly care for the very first Captain America movie. I definitely don't care for Thor the Dark World. A lot of people aren't a fan of Ant-Man, even though that's my personal favorite. But the point is, yes, even if the movies were bad, everyone saw them and loved them.
That you have Demon Slayer, which is a fraction of the budget of other films, like, for instance, Disney films or Marvel films, really puts in perspective not just how far Marvel and Disney and Star Wars has fallen, but also just how in demand anime and Demon Slayer is as a series. I've talked about this already a few weeks back, but Demon Slayer really is a cultural phenomenon. Love it, hate it, whatever, be indifferent to it, try to ignore it. The point stands is that it is definitely in this era, in the 2020s, it is the 2020s equivalent of Dragon Ball. I know a lot of people don't want to accept that. A lot of people...
I think it's too soon to say that. Like, to say this, the 2020s is equivalent to Dragon Ball. Guys, Dragon Ball came out in '84 and is still relevant to the cultural zeitgeist today. It's been 40 plus years, and Dragon Ball is like the anime. When people think of anime, they don't even know what anime is. Goku has a float in the Thanksgiving Day parade. Like, I get it. Demon Slayer is incredibly popular, and maybe it will go on to have just as much of a legacy. But to say it's the Dragon Ball of the 2020s, no, it's incredibly popular. Yes, it's absolutely incredibly popular. But we need to see if it actually maintains a 40-year legacy, if it becomes, you know, in the zeitgeist of anime history, not just recent anime history, for me to make a claim like that, or to accept a claim like that.
People will be upset with me even saying those words, because yes, I love Dragon Ball, and I'm going to be completely blunt here. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I do prefer Dragon Ball over Demon Slayer, but...
Good,
I will not put down Demon Slayer, and I will not, you know, crap on it because I'm upset.
No. Again, and to be fair, Demon Slayer is incredibly popular. I'm not trying to take away from that for a moment. I just don't think we've got the longevity yet to know if it's actually on that caliber.
Jealous that maybe it's beating some of my favorite stories. What I will say, however, is that it showcases that this is a new era of anime. The anime really has reached into the mainstream good and bad aspects of that, obviously, that I have covered, but I think in general, it shows that Demon Slayer really is a cultural phenomenon. It is shaping the landscape of anime, and about 15 years from now, 20 years from now, there's going to be people so passionate about Demon Slayer, it's going to be the equivalent of Dragon Ball. Like, think about it right now.
See, that's the part I don't know about. I don't know about that, because, you know, what did we have 15, 20 years ago? We had Naruto, One Piece, Bleach. We had the big three, you know, and to this day, One Piece has reached that. One Piece is about on par with Dragon Ball. Naruto and Bleach, not so much. They're still loved. They're still popular. They're still big names. But they are not at the caliber of notoriety worldwide, being part of the worldwide, not just anime zeitgeist, but zeitgeist in general. Again, you don't see Bleach or Naruto floats in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. I don't know that we're gonna see that with Demon Slayer either.
Now, okay? Right now in, like, the 2010s, 2020s and stuff, there's a lot of people that talk very, like, nostalgic about Dragon Ball. There's people constantly talking about discussion forums, everything with games and all that. Imagine 10 to 15 years from now, there's going to be people that are like Dragon Ball, but for Demon Slayer. You're going to see this continuously, and I feel like that is exactly what we are witnessing. And the reason why it's just so popular is because, well, Demon Slayer comes out at a time where a lot of the stuff from the West is, let's just be completely blunt, not really good. I mean, we have all seen the writing on the walls. You don't have to go out of your way and watch every single movie that comes from the West, but we all know that a lot of movies are either safe, or they push propaganda, or they're in general just not good movies.
And therein lies the problem. He nailed that on the head. Even if, because we all talk about, oh, the woke this, woke that, oh, the MCU is dead, it's woke, the MCU, whatever. Even without that, though, a lot of them just aren't good. There was nothing aggressively propagandistic about Fantastic Four, but it was safe and boring. Like, I walked out of it just, like, feeling nothing. I took my grandmother to see it. She wasn't really a fan of it either. And if we continue down this route of anime being mainstream, the same thing is going to happen. The same assembly line whimsy, the same homogeneity, the same globalist idea that removes anime from what it traditionally is and has been.
Not good whatsoever. And anime, the reason why I think it's really gotten popular in the last few years, besides obviously COVID, is because it is fundamentally very different from just regular stuff. Regular cartoons, TV shows, movies, whatever. It is just a completely different culture, art style, presentation with the story and characters. There's so much uniqueness about it. And because of that is why I think there's just so much push and draw to the culture itself of anime and manga. But, obviously, when anything becomes popular, things can turn south, a little bit sour, and you can have people that try to, instead of integrating into the culture, they want to force the culture to change, which is what...
Exactly, the tourist problem, and we see that all the time. We saw it with the MCU, we saw it with Star Wars. We see these people that never grew up reading comics, or playing the Star Wars video games, or with their action figures, or reading the expanded universe books or anything, get into Star Wars, get into the MCU when Disney bought it out, when Disney made it even more popular than it already was, and all of a sudden you called for changes like, oh, but aren't these female characters problematic because they're too sexy? We see this in anime already. We see this in anime all the time. People coming in, tourists, that don't like the fact that there's fan service in shonen anime. Sorry, hate to break it to you, that's part of the culture. That's part of what makes anime intrinsically anime, is those things that don't fly here in the West. Those things that aren't part of our Western cultural values. And the moment that stuff starts to shift, and we're seeing it shift already, there's a bajillion of anime that have been censored, and not just here in America, but in the East as well. We've done videos on that. Check them out if you haven't seen them. Then yeah, we're already seeing the slow roll for the degradation of anime.
One of the big reasons why we've seen a lot of issues over the years, why there's a lot of, like, push against, let's say, fan service, for instance, or why certain people want, you know, things censored or removed from anime culture, which is just straight up wrong. Completely think that's messed up, and I think that anyone that is like that does not deserve anime, manga, and shouldn't even be in the community.
Correct.
But those that try to come into the anime community and accept it for what it is and integrate, they're completely welcome. Anyways,
literally, anime is just like actual immigration. If you want to come to the U.S., by all means, we'll welcome here. If you become a U.S. citizen, do it the right way, take on our values, become Americans, leave that Somalian shit back in Somalia, become an American, value free speech, value the Second Amendment, value our laws and our entire culture. Literally, I say the same thing about anime. If you want to get into anime, by God, I've been watching it for 30 years. I would love more people to talk anime with. But the moment I hear you complain about fan service, get the fuck out. Go back to Western Somalia.
Getting back into the topic of Demon Slayer, this news is pretty big for a variety of reasons. For one, obviously, we have the whole announcement that new records have been set. It's basically the highest grossing anime film of all time, and this record was hit at 552 million. Obviously, it's grown considerably since then, as you can see, and it seems like it's not...
I don't know that it actually has grown considerably. I mean, Mugen Train was in 2020, so 5 years ago, 517 million. It racked up an extra, 30-ish million from this, 30 to 40 million But 5 years later, inflation's a bit different. Frankly, they're actually probably about the same.
Not even close to stopping in terms of how much it's going to be making, and obviously this is going to drive not just Studio Photable to continue making more stuff like this, but also is going to have everybody that is not already invested in anime taking a nice good peek on what Demon Slayer is doing right. Because I'm telling you right now, with how much money this has made, you know for a fact Disney is eyeing up anime. Obviously, I think that's kind of a bad thing. I'm going to be
Disney has eyed up anime for ages. I mean, think about Studio Ghibli. Disney, for the longest time, until relatively recently in the grand scheme of things, Disney had the Western distribution rights and dubbing rights to anything Ghibli related. Hell, Disney, I don't know if they still do, but for a long time, held the live-action Dragon Ball film rights. Like, if they were going to make a live-action Dragon Ball film, it would be Disney. They held the rights to it. So, yeah, when you look at Netflix with One Piece, we've got a Sakamoto Days live-action film coming out. There's so many live-action adaptations that are in the works. There's a Western Naruto adaptation in the works. This isn't anything new. We've been seeing this for a while now.
Completely blunt. I think it's a very bad thing to hear that these big corporations in Hollywood and stuff definitely want to get a slice of the anime pie.
Yes,
and we've already seen some of the damage of these bad actors and bad companies trying to do that. And I think with anime becoming more and more successful, it's going to eventually become something that will be fundamentally very different from what people actually came to know and love from anime. And I feel like there is going to be a big event that's going to happen eventually to where anime is going to become more toned down, or its rough edges, or its original
I don't think it'll be a big event. Think to the last several years of, us talking about, woke films, woke ideology, woke comics, the whole nine. There wasn't just a big event. You could say Gamergate, you could say Trump, but in all reality, it was slow-rolled. There wasn't a big thing that changed everything all at once. They just kept pushing and pushing and pushing until it became the norm. And I think that's what's going to happen with anime. And the reason I think that is because that's what we're already seeing with anime. We already heard about the Japanese screenwriter that's raising her son to be genderless, that did the massive changes to Bocchi the Rock. We definitely see the dubbing industry and the localizing industry have been working this way for years upon years when it comes to changing stuff from the East to fit our Western sensibilities. Now that's being done in just the East, by default, like it did with Bocchi the Rock. Yeah, needless to say, we're actually already seeing this. There won't be a big cataclysmic event. We'll see the exact same thing we saw with Marvel and Star Wars and Disney and Dungeons & Dragons and Magic the Gathering and Warhammer 40k, where it's slow-rolled to the point where it's doing it in such little incremental pieces, it'll look like people like me and like Chibi are bitching about nothing. Oh, whatever, it's just one thing of censorship here. Oh, whatever, it's one thing of changes there. Until 5-10 years later, anime's gone globalist, and it is a shadow of what it used to be.
Structure as an anime series or as a culture will be removed to make it very safe for a global audience. I mean, hell, we even have the CEO of Crunchyroll mentioning the global influence. I mean, Demon Slayer's Infinity Castle's success highlights anime's global influence, says Crunchyroll CEO. This is literally an article that came out earlier today, and you could just see how much money it's made. They're talking about it, and you even have the CEO commenting that he wants Demon Slayer to be at the Oscars and stuff, and you could see that the global demand of anime is at an all-time high.
And again, this is also nothing new. I mean, Studio Ghibli, the most recent film, The Boy and the Heron, won the Oscar for Best Animated in, 2023? I mean, I saw it in theaters. I thought it was like, this is Miyazaki's final work. I have to see this. I love Ghibli. I'm a huge Miyazaki fan. And yeah, it was brilliant. And I came out of that saying, it's going to win the Oscar for Best Animation. And lo and behold, what did it do? Won the Oscar for Best Animation. Much deserved. But yeah, this isn't a first. We've been seeing the signs for years now. I think this might be the most blatant, in-your-face one.
Higher than it ever has been. But there's a lot of reasons why you see a lot of shows within the West, like animated shows, try to label themselves as anime. Because anime is very popular, and these companies, these studios, these people, these investors, they want the slice of the anime pie. And if they use a trendy word like anime, or it is anime, or it's a manga...
We saw it with my best friend Superman, or my friend Superman, or whatever it was called. Like, they literally just aped the anime design, and we've been seeing this way back in the day. I mean, shows like Avatar: The Last Airbender and Martin Mystery were aping the anime style. Now, that doesn't mean they're bad shows. I mean, I think those are both good shows, but they're not anime. But again, the West has been trying to steal that for a while. Shit, even the art directors for The Little Mermaid, which came out in 1989 from Disney, acknowledged they were heavily influenced by anime drawing techniques. That's why Ariel has the big expressive eyes. They directly credit anime for that.
Then obviously they're able to sell a lot better, their merchandise or movie a lot better, because let's face the cold hard facts, like getting into the sales here of like Demon Slayer versus like Fantastic Four. Obviously Marvel in general is very popular. I'm not going to try to act like it isn't. And what's crazy about this situation is that...
Let's stop there for a moment. Marvel is popular. Well, yes, obviously you've got things like Marvel Rivals, you've got the MCU films, but what is Marvel at the end of the day? They're a comic book company. The comics haven't been selling for years. Comics haven't been selling for damn near a decade outside of Spider-Man. Like, unless it's a big event series or Spider-Man, Marvel comics aren't selling. What's destroying them? Manga. And this has been known for ages now.
Demon Slayer is a relatively new series. It spawned in the last, 6 or 7 years ago. It is relatively a new series. While something like Marvel or Fantastic Four and stuff has been going on for decades upon decades. And the fact that you have a series come out of nowhere and it's able to reach such heights says a lot. But I also think it's very important to outline the fact that a lot of people are tired of comics.
Correct.
I don't think people are necessarily completely done, but I think a lot of people have issues with the current state of, let's say, Marvel and DC. There's a lot of complaints I've seen over the years, people saying that there's a lot of propaganda or agenda pushed in within the narrative, or it plays very safe, it's very pandering, stuff like that. And I feel like the reason why a lot of people have shifted away from comics and movies as well is because they're tired of it and they want to go to anime and manga. And so when you see these companies labeling stuff like a manga or an anime, they realize that the context of like an animated show or the context of a comic, there is a bad stigma around it. And I feel like that is
It's funny because that bad stigma used to be around anime. And when I was a kid in the 90s and the 2000s, and was just wishing anime would become mainstream so that I wasn't made fun of for liking this shit anymore, oh, how wrong little Leon was. Because yes, I very much would prefer to go back to the days when there were stigmas around being an anime fan, because at least then we wouldn't see what we're seeing the slow roll version of now, and what will only get worse when it comes to the degradation of the medium.
Reason here of why they like to use those type of terms. But I'm getting a little bit off topic. I'm going on a little bit of a tangent here. I want to get back into the Oscar stuff. So this Oscar stuff I think is very important, and one reason why I think it is because this will showcase a new step for anime reaching new heights globally. And obviously when you have the CEO himself trying to push for a campaign for them to reach the Oscars is huge. I mean, when you have the sales of Demon Slayer surpass Marvel, you know these investors like a Disney and other companies are already taking a peek at anime. They're seeing what...
Well, I mean, to be fair, what are the two highest selling IPs of all time? Well, they're both Japanese. Pokemon and Hello Kitty. Pokemon is the #1 selling IP in the world. Guess what? When Pokemon, the first movie, came out in 1998, it made $30 million. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but when you realize it had a $5 million budget, it made $30 million, then you adjust for inflation, Pokemon, the first movie, did gangbusters. We've had live-action anime adaptations in the past, things like Alita Battle Angel, or in the comic book sphere. You know, back in 2005, we had the Marvel Mangaverse. It was Marvel literally doing a manga version of their characters. It's a really good read, by the way. I highly recommend it. But the point is, yeah, the writing has been on the wall for anyone who's been paying attention for, I'd say, damn near 20 years.
They can do to potentially do the exact same thing to make the same amount of money. Because at the end of the day, these companies, they want to make money. They want to make as much money as possible without spending as much money as possible. And when you have a series like, you know, Demon Slayer or anime in general, that, let's just be completely blunt, the cost of making anime is much, much cheaper than, let's say, a Marvel movie, for instance, or a regular modern movie, then obviously people are going to want to invest in this. Now, there's a lot of issues with that in general, with that perspective, because obviously animators in general within Japan aren't paid well. I mean, this is a big issue, and I'm not going to get into this whole topic, but I think that's...
Well, and Disney and Hollywood would find a way to balloon the budgets. They would take what Japan does on a small to modest budget, and they would find a way to blow it up, make it extravagant, and yet somehow remove all the soul from it. And I do understand what he's talking about, and I agree about, there's problems in the animation and manga business in terms of, fair wages. That's been, like, common knowledge since the 90s. Anyone that's, privy to this sort of stuff, anybody that cares about this sort of stuff. But even if that wasn't an issue, even if they were compensated fairly, Disney would still find a way. I say Disney, but that's just a catch-all term for really Hollywood in general, would find a way to balloon this shit out of proportion and still fuck it up.
Also going to lead to some other issues within the industry, that these companies are going to look at anime as a cheaper alternative to make a lot more profit and abuse these animators with already bad conditions and potentially not pay them what they actually deserve. I think that's going to lead into some issues in the future. But another issue I have is the globalization of anime.
Yes, talk about it.
I've obviously already kind of slightly talked about in this video and previous videos and stuff, but I think in general anime becoming mainstream is not a good thing. I am happy for Demon Slayer. I'm not going to act like I'm not happy. I think it's a good thing to see the animators praised for their work, Studio Photable being done well for what they've done. I think in general everyone that's worked on the project, they should deserve the money and the recognition from the world. It is a very good thing that they have done, and nothing I ever say after this.
And this is a case of two things can be true. You can be very happy and proud that Demon Slayer is doing well, that these creators and creatives are getting the accolades they deserve, but also have the foresight to see that this is kind of the come to Jesus moment. This is the beginning. Frankly, not even the beginning. This is the noticeable part for normies about the slippery slope that a lot of us have been calling out for years.
Ever take that away. It's a very good thing that they've done. But when something becomes popular, when a culture becomes popular, a form of medium, like a media becomes popular, it's going to lead to issues. And I think like this is one of the big reasons why there's been such a vocal rise of people deeming anime problematic or anime, needing to be censored. Because obviously there's a lot of new fans that come into the culture that instead of integrating, they want to change it, and they watch surface-level shows. And there's nothing wrong with people only watching, let's say, Demon Slayer, Chainsaw Man, or Soul Leveling, but there's a lot of people who watch this surface-level stuff, and then if they try to dig a little bit deeper, or if they see people talking about stuff a little bit deeper, then they will call you a weirdo, bully you, or in this case, they will straight up buzzword you. They'll call you a PDF or whatever. And there has been an active conversation around this for a while where people are even advocating for censorship of anime, and there is indication that there is people within even Japan that is actively becoming activists to do this, to allow anime to become more of a global sensation.
I've covered this in so many videos. I've covered it in recent videos about the Bocchi the Rock situation. I covered it over a year ago when it came to BlackRock investing in anime and manga companies. This is a common thing. It is becoming more and more common. That is, we are seeing this in real time.
And I think that if you try to focus all anime to be a global sensation, it will lose the very point on why even something like Demon Slayer became popular. Because,
correct,
I want to say it like it is. Demon Slayer also has content that has fan service. It has, like, adult content technically thrown into it.
When Nezuko reached that form, when in Demon Slayer and in the Entertainment District, when Nezuko did that power-up and she got the adult body and it had breasts, everyone freaked the fuck out. They're like, how could you do this? She's a 12-year-old or a 14-year-old or like whatever. Let's be real. For one, it's Japan, it's Japanese, it's also fiction, it's not real. Very different culture, it's not real. However, you had people on the internet, a large contingent of people. There were a lot of coverage about this. People throwing a fit about the sexualization of an underage character. So yeah, if you see this in Demon Slayer, and we saw this in Demon Slayer a few years ago, the Entertainment District was a few years ago, just imagine where we're going to be at soon.
And if you start to censor things, remove things, and dumb it down, remove and soften down the edges of what it actually is, then it no longer is the reason why it became popular. It's no longer the same form of media that people wanted to watch or read. And I think that is a danger. As more of these companies invest in anime and they look at anime as a cash cow, they're going to start doing that because they want to get as much money as possible and get as many people to watch these movies as possible, and it's going to run the entirety of the anime industry and the manga industry into the ground, very similar to what we've seen with, let's say, Marvel or Star Wars or Disney in general and other forms of Hollywood. That is my legitimate concern. But With that out of the way, there is something I do want to mention. So this is Chainsaw Man, which is very relevant to this conversation because obviously I've been talking about the success of anime in anime movies, or in this case Demon Slayer's movie, but Chainsaw Man recently released in Japan. And from my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong if people have more knowledge on this type of stuff, but Chainsaw Man's doing okay. It's doing okay in Japan right now, which I think is to be expected, especially with just the overall reaction that Chainsaw Man.
Yeah, there are people that are talking about how Chainsaw Man's gonna follow in the footsteps of Demon Slayer and make all this sort of money and break the bank. No, it's not. It's gonna do well. It's gonna do well, but Chainsaw Man is fundamentally different than Demon Slayer. It's a bit more wacky, it's a bit more out there, it's not as easy to wrap your head around. It obviously doesn't have near the level of popularity, so it's gonna do fine. It's gonna do numbers, especially compared to the budget, but it's not gonna, like, dethrone Marvel the same way that, Demon Slayer did.
Had early on with season 1, there was a lot of negativity around it within Japan, and anyone that doesn't remember that, there's articles and stuff, and I even made videos on this, but there was a lot of people that just did not like Chainsaw Man within Japan. And the point of the matter is that Chainsaw Man's movie has come out, and I've seen footage of it, and a lot of people have seen probably the trailers and stuff. It looks incredible. It looks great. But it's clear that the movie isn't resonating as much as it did with Demon Slayer. For instance, Demon Slayer is doing very well, and once again, much bigger series. I understand that. But it's clear that just because you make a beautiful animated movie with shiny lights or whatever, doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to have an instant victory. There is outliners here, Chainsaw Man being one of them. I'm not saying that the movie is doing absolutely terrible. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's definitely no Demon Slayer. And I think that this indicates as well that trying to be nothing but animation art sometimes isn't going to work out for you. Now, I'm not saying that that's what Chainsaw Man is. I'm not saying that, okay?
I'll say it. Chainsaw Man is literally nothing but dope-ass soundtracks and beautiful art. The story and characters are crap. They were crap from the get-go. It's literally just what if Hellboy was a sexy anime. That's that. And again, I like me some sexy anime. I like Hellboy. But Demon Slayer was really, really hyped up. I watched it from the jump. I guess the ending to the entire manga, or at least the first set of manga, because it's got a sequel series, within the first, 2 episodes of the show, and I was right. It's very generic and predictable outside of the character designs, and again, art's gorgeous, and the music's fantastic. But beyond that, Demon Slayer is pretty forgettable. Let's be real. If you want an anime where someone's got a weapon for a head, watch No Gun's Life instead. Far better series with a far more interesting premise, far more interesting characters, far more unique setup, far more unique archetypes. Watch No Gun's Life.
It's a very good story. I love the story of Chainsaw Man. It's great. And it covers one of my favorite arcs. The movie does. But what I'm saying is that just because it's a movie and it's anime doesn't mean it's instant victory. And I wonder if Hollywood and Western companies and stuff will take note of this as well. Now, another thing I do want to mention about this post, which is relevant, they're talking about MAPPA making a lot of profit, and yeah, they're making profit, but I think a lot of people are not factoring in, and which is pointed out in this comment section, but the theaters and Toho and stuff are taking a lot of profit and a share of the revenue from the movie release in Japan, and so MAPPA is not necessarily taking home all the profits. This is not technically true. There is just a lot of money that they are having to give over and share the profit and revenue with theaters and stuff. So I'm curious to see how much they actually are making thanks to all the different costs and stuff behind the scenes. We'll probably find out eventually. But I'm going to leave it at that. I wanted to talk about the situation. I felt this was very relevant since there's a lot of people saying anime's problematic, manga's problematic, it needs to be censored, etc. I felt it was important to talk about Demon Slayer and its overall success and its effect on anime culture itself. But if you enjoy my content, please subscribe, leave a like on the video, and please leave a comment. It helps with the algorithm. Chibi out.
So, yeah, here we are. I mean, again, I couldn't agree more with the vast majority of what he said. I mean, the things I disagree with are more the weeb things. Like, he's obviously a different sort of anime fan than I am, which is fine by me, no big deal at all. But, I don't like Chainsaw Man all that much. I think Chainsaw Man's pretty generic. I'm not a huge Demon Slayer fan. I don't have anything against Demon Slayer. I like the Entertainment District and whatnot. It's definitely not one of my go-tos. I don't think it does anything exceptional that I haven't seen other anime do, which That's because I've been watching anime for 30 years. For people that are new to anime, new to the scene, Demon Slayer might be totally brand new and exciting for them because they haven't seen stuff like this before. And yeah, by all means, that's totally fine. But yeah, beyond that, I mean, I definitely don't think he's correct about it being the next Dragon Ball. I don't think Demon Slayer is going to have the legacy that Dragon Ball has in 20 years. But again, maybe I'm wrong. But when it comes down to the cultural aspect of what he's saying, when it comes down to Japan, they're going to continue to import their anime films here. They're going to continue to make bank. More anime are going to go on Netflix and Crunchyroll, and people are going to watch them and become fans, and it's going to lead to a degradation of the medium because it's going to become intrinsically less and less Japanese the more global it goes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we keep talking about Marvel and Disney and Star Wars, but it's not just that. We've seen picture proof that Japan isn't immune to this. When you look at their Eastern video game companies, Capcom has sold out to the West. Square Enix has sold out to the West. Koei Tecmo, Bandai Namco. The list goes on. We've seen these corporations actively state that they are trying to make their games less Japanese to appeal to global audiences. I don't play Suikoden and Persona and Final Fantasy and all that stuff because I want Western games. I play that shit because I like the shit that comes from the East. It really is that simple. And you're getting that less and less. And anime looks like it's going to be following suit. So, again, two things to be true. You can be incredibly happy for the success of Demon Slayer and what it means for the people that worked on it. And Japan getting the accolades they absolutely deserve. But the writing's on the wall. I think that not only is the writing on the wall, I think this is the first nail in the coffin for anime changing forever. Like the title of his video is "The Future of Anime is Likely Doomed." I agree. Because of the success of Demon Slayer is a double-edged sword. While it could be amazing to give life to anime for the short term, I think it's the first nail in the coffin for anime as we know it in the long term. But these are just my opinions. Let me know yours in the comments down below, or let me know on X and find me at Bolt the Word. And please do subscribe. I'm a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news every day. Not always about the anime scene, but video games, movies, music, Magic the Gathering, you name it. Check me out on Instagram at wordsparadise_Leon and become a member. For $4.99 a month, you can join the Discord, choose the articles you go over on a day-to-day basis, choose the videos we react to on the Friday night live streams, and of course get involved with over 200 other vital idols. We are a bright, beautiful, glowing, vibrant community that I cannot wait to grow even further because we do care about diversity. Only one kind of diversity of thought. That's interesting to you. Join the Discord, subscribe, and until next time, it's all here in the Nerdosphere. This has been Words of Paradise.